Hello Unites and welcome back to Math and Magic. This video is actually a part 2 of a lesson. In the first part of the lesson, I actually got you guys to watch another video I made for another class, which went through angles of angles on parallel lines in our properties of geometric figures topic. So if you haven't done that already, can I get you guys to please go watch the video from Year 10 5.2, properties of geometric figures, angles on parallel lines, because that's going to be needed in order for you to actually understand the stuff we're going to be doing in this part of the lesson. What this second part of this video is going to do is just look at adding on this final part. So doing an extra little skill that you can use when you're solving problems with parallel lines. And that is when we introduce a third parallel line. So here I'm going to actually go through 2 examples. Okay, so here. Example 3, adding a third parallel line. Add a third parallel line to help find angles BAC in the following diagram. So we're going to go through 2 examples just to highlight what this particular skill looks like. Now, in the previous video, I talked about the few different angle relationships that you can have on parallel lines. So we went through, for example, if you've got a Z-shaped angle, so one that looks like this, you've got an alternate angle here. So those 2 angles are equal. If you have an F-shaped angle, so if you've got something like this, and you've got the 2 angles here, that's a corresponding angle and they're equal. And the final one was if you have a C angle, so co-interior angle, so these 2 here, they add up to 180. Now it's a little bit hard to see in this diagram, but please go watch the earlier the video that I've asked you to go watch in already. What we're going to do here is we're going to actually use these particular angles to help us find missing angles on parallel lines, but we also need to add on a third line. So let's have a look at this first diagram. So if you have a look here, we've got 2 parallel lines, this one over here and this one over here. And we've got 2 angles. We've got 2 angles that we know, 50 degrees and 70 degrees at the bottom here. We want to find angle B. But if you have a look, there's no single transversal or parallel line that cuts through our 2 parallel lines here. And so we can't actually form those angle relationships that we see up above. What we need to do is we need to introduce a third parallel line. So here I'm going to pull out my ruler. I'm going to actually draw in a third parallel line. So I'm going to go draw this line here. And I'm going to say that this line, I'm going to create this line so that it is parallel to both the top line and the bottom line. And I'm going to also introduce another point over here just so I can talk about my angles. Angle D. Point D. Now if you have a look here, now that I've created this extra parallel line, we've got a few special angle relationships that we can notice. So there's this 50 degrees here, and if you have a look at the shape it makes with the third parallel line that I've added, it forms this Z shape here, and so that tells me that this angle here is also going to be 50 degrees. Okay, and the second thing is, if you have a look down at the bottom, we've actually got another Z angle. We've got another alternate angle here. So this 70 degrees over here is going to be equal to this 70 degrees over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to write down what this actually looks like, and just so we can have the working out right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I've drawn on that parallel line, and I'm just going to say, well, the first one is my 50 degree angle over here. So as you notice, with this 50 degree angle, so I'm going to call that's angle ABD. So if you remember your angle notation, that is I've got this letter A at the top, I've got B, which is where the angle is at, and I've also introduced that letter D. Angle ABD is going to be 50 degrees because of alternate angles on parallel lines. Alternate angles on parallel lines. So that comes from the fact that when I created that third parallel line, it formed this Z-shaped angle, and that's an alternate angle. And so here that tells me that this little angle here that I've highlighted in yellow is going to be 50 degrees. So here, maybe I'll highlight it a little bit better. So this little angle over here, it's going to be 50 degrees. But not only that, what we said was we've actually got another set of alternate angles. So if you have a look over here, this 70 degrees is going to be exactly the same as this 70 degrees over here. And so here, that's angle CBD, because if you look here, C and then B and then D, and so CBD is going to equal to 70 degrees because of the same reason. So I'm just going to put these double dashes here just to say I've got the exact same reason as above. And because those 2 now make up that angle, that what this tells me is that therefore angle ABC is just going to be these 2 angles added up together. So angles 50 degrees plus 70 degrees, and so here angle ABC is going to be 120 degrees. So for these particular examples, what we need to do is we need to introduce that third parallel line. And that third parallel line that goes through the missing angle actually will help us create a few more special angle relationships that we notice to help us find these missing angles. Okay, I'm going to go through one more and then I'll leave you guys to have a go at the examples by yourself. But if you have a look here, we've got another question where we've got another pair of parallel lines. So one that goes through here and one through here. So one that goes through A and one through C. And we want to find the missing angle at B. We want to find how big this angle is over here. So once again, what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce a parallel line that goes through B. So I'm going to just draw a parallel line here. So I'm going to say that this line over here, this guy, oh, let me draw that in red. Oh, actually, we can do it in red. I'm going to do that in red. And so here I'm introduced my new parallel line. And I'm going to introduce another point here as well, D, just so I can name the two angles. And so once again, we can actually form a few angle relationships on parallel lines. So angles on parallel lines. So first one, if you have a look on the left-hand side, we've got this 75 degrees. And if you look, we can make a Z shape here with my two angles. So this one here and this one here. And so that tells me that this angle here is going to be 75 degrees. But on my right-hand side, if you notice, this is 150 degrees here. So this is 150 degrees. But if you have a look at the angle shape it makes, and I'll do this in blue just so you can see it a little clearer. So it makes this shape over here. And if you flip that shape around, it's not a Z shape. That's a C shape. And so what this means is that these two angles here are co-interior. And so what we need to do is we need to find what that angle is first using the fact that co-interior angles are supplementary. So let's just go through the working out here. So let's deal with the yellow angle first. So maybe I'll color code this just so it's a little bit clearer. The first one was angle ABD is equal to 75 degrees. So this angle over here is 75 degrees because it forms that Z shape. And so it's because it's an alternate angle. An alternate angle on parallel lines. Okay, so we've got that yellow angle already. Now the other one we want is that orange angle, so this one over here. Now what we said with those angles which are co-interior is that they add up to 180. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write angle CBD, which is that angle there over here. So angle over here. When I add that with 150, so when I add that with 150 degrees, that's going to equal to 180 degrees because they are co-interior angles. Co-interior angles on parallel lines. And so if I was to solve this, I have angle CBD is equal to 180 minus 150. And so that gives me 30 degrees. So angle CBD, this one over here is going to be 30 degrees. And so the final step, if we want to find that whole angle, so this whole angle over here, all we need to do is just add those two angles. So here, I'm just going to write here, angle ABC is equal to 75 plus 30. And so that gives me 105 degrees. So this is just an additional kind of skill that we need to be able to have. So if you see these particular diagrams where you go, oh, hang on, it looks like I can add on an extra parallel line to help me solve and figure out the missing angle. Add on that extra parallel line and just see what angles on parallel lines you can notice with these particular examples. So that's it. That's just an additional part to add on to the lesson already. So have a go at the questions. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message via email or Google Classroom. And I'll see you next lesson, Year 9. Bye.